Hi, everybody. This is Mark Smith with Family Tree Life Coaching. And we've got a treat tonight. We have a guest from Slovakia named Tomas. Say hello to the folks, Tomas.
Hi, everybody.
Tomas is in a situation where it's 2:30 in the morning in Slovakia. And he can't really talk super loud because he'll wake up members of his family. So he's not necessarily this soft-spoken of a guy, but he's just trying not to wake people up in the middle of the night. So Tomas is spelled Tomas. So Steve says hi. Gilligan says Heidi ho. Tomas, tell us about Slovakia. What's Slovakia like?
Slovakia is a small country in the center of Europe. About 5 million people live here. And what can I say? We're in the middle of COVID-19 now. It was quite bad. That's all.
So COVID-19 is really bad for you.
Last, I don't know, a week or two.
Okay. I forget when I do these that I need to put the camera closer to where I'm talking, or you're just going to see the side of my head. So, okay. So I'm going to start out by reading an email that Tomas sent me that sort of introduces himself, and we'll get the process started of doing our genogram. So he says, hi, I'll try to write it short, which I appreciated because a lot of times when I ask people to write it short, they don't write it short. Hi, David. Hey, Annie. Annie, we can reschedule for election night. We'll bump it to the next weekend. Hey, sunny day. Hi, Judy Gardner. How about those Cowboys? Don't they suck? When Dak Prescott went down, I was brokenhearted. I was almost crying. So Tomas says, I'm 38 and married, and you have 2 children. So you can use different names for different players. What shall we call your wife?
My wife is Josie.
Josie?
I think Josie.
Josie. How old is Josie?
Josie is 36 years old now.
Okay. And how long have you been married?
We're married since 2012, so it's 8 years.
8 years. I had to take Mr. Pauly out on a walk in the rain, so we both got drenched. Okay, so in the email, Tomas said, in 2018, I started to have panic attacks. Okay, so I'm going to be adding to your family tree as we go. Combined with depression. Can you talk about the panic attacks, Tomas? Like, what were they like?
The first panic attack was the worst one. I woke up at 3 a.m. in the middle of the night, and I couldn't breathe. My heart starts to pounding, and I was really frightened that I'm going to die.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I was really thinking I'm going to die that night, and then I lay on the couch, and after 30 minutes, my wife came and she helped me to calm down. This was the first time.
How many times have these panic attacks happened?
I don't know, but this it wasn't that bad all the time. So 5 to 10 times, I think.
Okay.
It was so bad 5 to 10 times.
Okay. 5 to 10. That's a lot, really. David, I had a microphone sitting on top another microphone. I think that's why my voice was clear and Thomas's was muffled. That was my bad. I fixed it. I hope it's better. Libra's roll, blessings back to you. Okay. So neither psychological therapy nor antidepressants seemed to be helpful. Then I went to an ACA meeting and things slowly started to get better. Now I'm quite stable, but it's a fragile balance. I thought that was a really interesting statement, Thomas, that I know what you mean, that you have stability in your functioning, but it is also a fragile balance that as long as you get enough sleep and you eat well and there's not major stressors, then you're pretty good. Did I lose your sound? Okay, go ahead.
I still, I think it's not so. Yes, you said it as it is. When I meet some stressors, I then start to be either depressive or a little bit anxious.
Okay. Yeah, ACA it's adult. That's what you call your Adult Children of Alcoholics program.
Yes.
Okay. We're starting to have a little bit of glitches with the Wi-Fi in Slovakia. All right, Thomas, can you hear me?
Is it my sound or?
Yeah,
yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, the sound is good. That's all we need is the sound. So we have a question. Do you have bad dreams?
No, I haven't had bad dreams.
Okay. Can I get you to speak up just a tiny bit? Jilligan says that she's woken up in panic from her constant nightmares, but you don't suffer from bad dreams though.
No.
Yeah, that's good.
I had
the microphone right there.
My life, but not in the time of my anxiety.
Okay. So in the ACA program, there was a test to make your own genogram. Did it look like this?
Yes. This is the first step.
On the first step to do your own genogram. Wow. Well, we're going to help you with your first step work here tonight then.
Okay.
I expected I would find something big, like an alcoholic who drank himself to death, or something like that. But I found only 2 of my great-grandparents died in an untimely death, and that my uncle was an alcoholic. So as you did the family tree, you didn't seem to find enough evidence of issues,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. I thought I would find, but I found that my great grandparent died when my grandmother was 2 years old, and on the other side, my grandparent 8 years old.
Okay. Okay.
But no evidence of some, I don't know, something like that. You should know that here in Slovakia, the acceptance of alcohol is quite high.
Okay.
There's lots of people who drinks.
What percentage of people are alcoholic there, would you say?
I don't understand you. Could you?
When you say it's high, like how many people out of 100 would you say suffer from alcoholism where you're from?
Well, I don't know, but if you go for a visit to somebody, you should drink with them.
Okay.
It could be offensive if you don't drink.
Okay. So you don't want to offend anybody, so you have a drink.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So you say
you have to have a good reason not to drink.
Okay. Okay. So David, I know that Thomas is a bit muffled. Can everybody hear him well enough? Let me know on that. Because I can hear him real well. I can repeat if I need to. You say your brother is an active alcoholic.
Yes.
Can I read the next part? Sure.
Yes, you can.
He's from Slovakia, Annie. Very high rate of alcoholism. Yeah, there are a few connection issues. Let me move the speaker a little bit further away from the microphone, see if that helps. So what I got Thomas's permission to share is that he has an addiction to pornography. So I got to write that down. But he's abstaining from it currently. He says, I don't expect miracles. Hey, Libra says she can hear very clear. So we're getting there. I hope you may direct me where I should search to find the truth about my family. And really, folks, that's what using a family tree is about. It's about finding the truth about people's families. I've been doing this for now 35 years. And it's amazing how just writing down what happened in 4 generations, how you can see the patterns and learn, stuff about yourself. So it's a little bit like going to the fortune teller. You may learn some difficult things. Everybody, Thomas, that I've done this with felt a little bit afraid, before their family tree. because you might experience some stuff that hurts. So you said the second thing you hope is that I can give you some feedback, and you said about should I focus on the ACA meeting or look for another path of recovery. So I'm going to make a note on that to be able to answer that. David, who has gone through one of my family trees and feedbacks, he says, yes, you give us things that hurt. You know, I just point out what's there. I don't make the hurt, but I just commentate on it. Oh, so you're wanting feedback about the 12-step work versus another path.
Yes, maybe psychotherapy or something.
Yeah. Do you go to therapy currently?
Yes.
Okay. How's that working for you?
Well, we have just started. We have had 3 sessions, so hard to say if it would go well. But I had a therapist one therapist who worked with me for 2 years or so, and sometimes it was good, sometimes it was bad, but nobody did with me the genogram.
Yeah.
I asked him to do one, but he didn't want to.
Oh, that breaks my heart. That really breaks my heart that here you are thirsting for insight into your family of origin, and a therapist wouldn't do a genogram. I've never worked with a client in 34 years where I haven't done a genogram. It's like, how I see the world. I was working with a guy today who just found out that he's going to be going through a divorce, and he looked back to therapy early in his marriage. That was, he called it a 3 out of 10. Like, he gets rated 3 stars out of 10 stars. Not too good. And he said he feels like his marriage would have had a chance if he'd have gone to a good therapist. So are there just not a lot of really great therapists available in Slovakia? How does that work?
I have worked just with 2 of them, so I don't know really. But because of my porn addiction, I wanted to have a man.
Right.
But here in the town where I live, I found just one.
Okay.
Just one man therapist. So now I work with a woman, and hard to say how it will be.
Yeah. We have somebody making a comment called, his name is Terminal Lumbago. Interesting name. And he says our live stream is interesting and very nice. So, okay. So the last thing Thomas said is he's looking forward to the show, but he's a little scared of it. So give Thomas as much encouragement as you possibly can give him. So, okay, so let's talk about your parents. Are they both still alive?
No. Only my father.
Your father's how old?
He's 71.
Okay. And what's your father's first name?
Frank.
I'm sorry?
Frank.
Frank. That's what I thought you said. And how old was your mother when she passed?
My mother was 67, and it was in 2019.
What month in 2019?
It was June, 6th June.
June. What did your mom die from?
It was a breast cancer.
Breast cancer.
Yes.
And what was your mom's first name?
Annie.
Annie?
Annie.
So Annie, someone just commented named Annie. He says, what you're doing takes a lot of courage, Thomas.
Thank
So
you.
big smile, Annie, from him. Okay, so tell me about your father as you were growing up. What was your father like?
So he's a good man in his heart, I think, but very emotionally unavailable.
Okay.
He has never told me I'm proud of you, and I always wanted to hear it from him.
Oh.
And I don't remember him hugging me or touching me. The only touch I remember is handshake on occasion like birthday or so. Nowadays, I hate touching a man or being touched by a man.
So you just hate being touched at this point?
Yes, by men.
By a man. So like if I saw you and wanted to give you a hug, that would feel uncomfortable to you.
Yes, uncomfortable and embarrassing.
Gotcha. So what did you want to hear from your father? Did you say like praise or compliments, or you said you wanted to hear like I love you, or
I'm proud of you.
I'm proud of you.
And he was often hidden in our garage where he made his technical contractions like antennas and so, or handmade guns for fun. And he drinks. I don't know if he's an alcoholic. I can say that. I can't say that. But he has been drinking a lot throughout his life, with one break when he was ill.
This is your dad you're talking about?
Yes, my dad.
Yeah.
And he's not bad at all when he's drunk. His personality stays intact. He's funny and full of energy, but sometimes he dropped off on the toilet.
did you just say that he falls off the toilet?
Yes, I remember the sound. He was snoring, and my mom pounding on the door. Frank, open the door.
I guess that is a complication of drinking. You can fall off of toilets.
Yes.
Evidently. Okay. So, what kind of what did you say your dad did out in the garage?
Contractions like antennas or handmade guns, or is very skilled to help himself to repair things.
So Kimberly has joined us. Welcome. Gilligan says, my dad drank every single day. He was a blackout drunk and extremely mean.
Oh,
So, Thomas, your dad wasn't mean. He just would fall off of toilets every now and again.
yes. I would say he's a good alcoholic or something like that.
If there's such a thing as a good alcoholic, then he's been one.
Yes.
Okay, so what kind of work did your dad do?
He was he designed some parts of engines. He worked in a company which made engines, and he designed parts of the engines, and he worked there for, I don't know, 30 years.
30 years. Wow.
Then the company bankrupted, and he found another job, but it was similar job like this.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Um, so, does your dad, how far away does he live for you? What's his living situation now?
He's retired. He lives in my hometown with my brother and his family, and he enjoys his retirement, I think.
Okay. Did you just have the one brother?
Yes, I have an older brother.
Older brother. We're going to use a different name for him. What name would you like to?
Robin.
Robin. And how old is Robin?
Robin's 46, I think. He's 46.
Okay.
And he's 7.5 years older.
That's quite a bit older. Yeah. Did you say Robert or Robin?
Robin.
Robin. That's what I thought. Okay. Kimberly says her mom would start drinking in the 70s when the soap opera The Young and the Restless was on at 11 a.m. That's early to be drinking. Welcome, Sharon. Sharon went through one of these family trees. Gilligan's dad would offer cocktails to her high school friends when they weren't of age. Thomas, tell me about your mother as you were growing up. How would you describe your mother?
So my mother, I think we got on very well with her. I had thought previously I was her favorite son, but once I asked my father, and he said it was actually my brother who was the favorite. But in spite of this, she would criticize more my brother than me because of his issues with alcohol. And I don't know how it was when I was younger, but before her end in 2018, I used to kind of care for her feelings. Once I drove to my hometown because she was really depressed and had a conflict with my father. I found her sitting in my father's car in the garage. I took her to a nearby forest and we talked about 1 or 2 hours. And she told me she would commit suicide if she hadn't been a believer. And she said how she was desperate and about the anger toward her daughter-in-law. Because my mother thought then that my father liked my sister-in-law more than her.
Liked her in a romantic kind of a way?
Mm, I don't know if no in a sexual or romantic kind of way, but like to he liked to be with her,
Okay.
be around her.
Okay. Okay. How old were you when that happened? When you drove to your town and uh, your mom talked about suicide?
Yeah, it was 2017 or so,
Okay.
not long before her death.
Okay. What was that like for you hearing your mom say that?
Well, it was terrible, and I didn't know what to say and what to do. I wanted to help her, just help her not to be so desperate, but I didn't just know what to do.
Yeah.
So I was just listening her, and that was all.
Yeah. Uh, was your mother sad as you were growing up?
No, no, I don't think so. But I don't remember my childhood well.
You don't?
Yes, there's not a lot of things I can remember clearly.
So what was your mom like when you were little? How would you describe her?
Well, she was full of energy, and she wanted to have everything done in a record time. Uh, and I remember she wanted always hug me or touch me in a gentle way when I was like teenager, but I always was embarrassed doing that, and I didn't want to do that. And I think it was sort of like the relationship between her and my dad when she wanted some love from him, and he was cold as ice.
He was cold as ice to your mother.
Yes, and she was impatient, and she always asked she asked me for help, and when I was fast enough, she made it rather by herself.
I have a hearing problem in my left ear. I've got an infection. Can you say that part again? I missed it, Thomas. I'm sorry.
Uh, she was impatient, and if she asked for help, and I wasn't fast enough doing that, uh, she made it rather by herself.
Okay. Okay.
And she often compared me and my brother. She spoke to him like, "Why can't you be like Thomas?" And it was embarrassing, and it made sort of abyss between both of us, between me and my brother.
So she would compare you more favorably. She was more critical of your brother.
Yes.
Okay. When you said she would touch you in a gentle way, can you tell me more about that? What was the gentle way that she touched you?
She wanted to hug me or mm, stroke me on my cheek or so.
And that was embarrassing to you?
Yeah, in the time was embarrassing when I was a teenager.
Right. Next to that, you said that um, her interaction with your father, that your dad was like cold as ice.
Yes.
but yet she wanted to be tender with you.
I don't understand you. Could you repeat it?
She wanted to touch you in a gentle way.
Yes.
Yeah. Other than it being embarrassing, how did that touch feel?
Just embarrassing. There wasn't anything else.
Okay.
I think.
Because it's embarrassing because it was in front of like other kids or something.
Yes, maybe that's in front of other kids or other people in general.
Okay. Okay. So let's talk about your brother Robin. What's his life like?
Yeah, I think he's the scapegoat of our family, and he was always rebellious. As I said, he's an alcoholic and a smoker, and there have been a lot of occasions where we found him smashed on the street or somewhere else. And on the contrary to my father, he is berserk when he's drunk. He's really mad.
Oh, he has rage issues when he drinks.
Yes, he's stupid, mean, and quarrelsome and aggressive. And he would steal my and others' money to get alcohol. So I had it stashed from him under the carpet or somewhere else. And he lied to me a lot and did things I found to be betrayal. And when I was a kid, he would lock me under the bed or beat me or scared me before I fell asleep. But I can remember good times when we had fun together, and it wasn't always that bad.
Right, right. Yes, Gilligan, this is Thomas's older brother. So what he locked you under your bed, did you say?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
It's a bed you could open, and he pushed me in the bed and lie on it, so I couldn't get out of it.
What did that feel like?
I remember the feeling to be like in a coffin.
Wow. What's it feel like to feel like you're in a coffin?
Yes.
You got a word for that?
I didn't understand you. Could you repeat it?
So when he locked you in the bed, you said it was like being in a coffin.
Yeah.
So what did that feel like? What, I mean,
like you, I cannot get out of it. It was dark there, and I was really afraid of not having enough air to breathe. So I was scared to death.
Yeah. How old were you when this happened, when you got locked in the bed?
I was a child, I don't know, 7 or 10 years.
Jamie Lynn says there's a movie based on real life. It's called Girl in a Box. And Kimberly says that sounds horrible and scary.
Yeah, but it was long ago. I think I'm over that, but sometimes I'm scared from sounds, and I think it's because he would come to me before I fell asleep. We we were sleeping in the same room, and he came to me quietly and make like, wow.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah. Man, you were traumatized by your older brother quite a bit.
yes,
Gilligan said her middle sister was abusive, and she was 5 years younger. Steve says he grew up in a funeral home with a room full of caskets on display, and it was spooky.
can't imagine that.
Yeah, yeah. What were the beatings like when your brother would beat you?
I don't remember, but I just know that he was always he was always stronger than me, and so I had to do what he said.
So he's still you said he acts stupid and mean and
Aggressive.
aggressive. Does he still do that?
It's I think it's better because he's older,
Yeah.
so he's not so strong than he used to be.
Yeah.
But we had brawl once, and it was like 5 or 6 years ago.
A brawl?
Brawl, yeah, a fight. We was drunk both, and I tried to persuade him to stop being an alcoholic in the basement of my father's house. And I don't remember what exactly happened. I just recall all the suppressed anger going out of me all at once. Yeah, no, it sounds stupid that I'd made such a thing when I was drunk, but
So you were drunk on that occasion, and then a
Yeah.
bunch of anger came out of you.
yes.
Yeah, but that is something you normally do. You normally don't have a drinking issue.
No, I don't have drinking issue. I drank before the problems in 2018, but now I'm abstained from alcohol.
Okay.
It's no problem for me.
So it sort of helped you deal with your panic attacks in a way.
Yeah, kind of that. Not with panic attacks, but with anxiety in generally. When I came home and I was stressed out, I used to drink beer or so. But when I have the panic attacks, it didn't help me at all.
Okay. Okay. All right. Tell us about your wife. What's Josie like?
So Josie, she's smart. Sometimes I have to watch myself to not to make fool of me.
She's so smart, you sometimes feel foolish around her?
Yes. I made a lot of mistakes in my life, like from oh man, like how is the world? Just I made a mistake in words or in numbers. So absent-minded. That's the word. That's the word. I'm absent-minded, and she's an introvert like me, and we met in 2008, and we both of us we struggled to find partner then. For example, I was single 6 or 7 years in 2008. And I see our relationship as quite good. I mean, it's not perfect, but when I consider where I grew up, it could be much worse. We get on well most of the time. There are some quarrels off and on, but nothing unbearable. The one thing I don't like about her is her proclivity to criticism.
I'm sorry, did you say that she criticizes or that she's sensitive to it?
I'm sensitive to criticizing.
Okay.
And I don't know if she criticizes me overly or it's normal, but I'm oversensitive to it. I know where's the line between it. But this relationship isn't my biggest problem. I am my biggest problem, and I just don't know why.
How well do you like yourself, Tomas?
Well, it's better when I'm in ACA. We learn to accept ourselves and love ourselves. But I used to hate myself, and I didn't know that I was doing it.
So you are learning how to love yourself?
I'm on the way. Currently, I'm learning how to be with my inner child and how to cultivate my loving inner parent. And it's helped me a lot, even with the anxiety and depressions.
Tell us about your work that you do.
So my work, that's a stumbling block for me. Because give me a second. I work now as a leader of 3 people in a company with 600 employees, and the team care for some supportive processes in the company. And my job is similar to my dysfunctional role in my previous family. I'm like a lost child. I hide in my office, and I don't have a clear and defined responsibility for something. I just received some tasks which the management wasn't able to delegate to somebody else. So I do statistics, I do some technical things, and some accounting. Yeah. I could say I got odds and ends from other positions.
Yeah. How well do you like your work?
I don't like my job.
Okay. Tell us about your kids. Do you have 2 kids or?
I've got 2 kids, 2 daughters. They're 4 and 6 years old.
Did you say brothers?
Daughters.
So, daughters. Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. 2 daughters, 4 and 6.
Yes, 4 and 6. And the daughter one is she's smart, but she's not. I couldn't find a word for these dexterous. She wasn't able. She learned to walk 6 months later than her peers.
Okay.
So she's not skilled, or I don't know how to say.
I understand.
And, she had really bad tantrums from 1.5 years to 4 years.
And what about the younger daughter? What
younger
comes to
one,
mind about her?
she's just normal child. I think there's nothing to say about it.
So, Thomas, what kind of things make you happy?
What makes me happy? Well, I tried with the previous psychotherapist what would help me to have a good time, but I struggle to find these things. I like to have a good conversation, like about difficult topics with somebody. I don't like small talks. Yeah, and I like music, but I don't have enough time now to play guitar, which I played guitar when I was younger, and I like to swim. And
Do you make time to swim?
yes, but now I can't swim because of the COVID situation.
Oh. Jilligan says learning to love ourselves can be difficult sometimes for people who grew up feeling unloved.
Yes.
Annie wants to know, is your wife understanding and supportive of your pornography addiction?
She knows about it. And I don't think she gets how deep in this I was. It was for me really difficult to stop, to quit. I tried it 1,000 times, and when I told her about it, she was like, "Yeah, well, and what is it like?" And I said I quit it, and she said, "Okay." That's all for her. But I'm still struggling with it. I can't browse internet that much like I used to browse.
Jilligan wants to know if you were on the swimming team when you were growing up. Was there a swimming team?
No, I'm just doing this for me.
Okay. Here in Indianapolis, it's starting to thunder outside, so you might hear some thundering going on. When you had these panic attacks, was that 2018?
Yes.
Was there anything going on in your life in 2018 that sort of caught? Tell me.
It was a lot of things at once. My mother was ill with the cancer, and I had problems in my job because they wanted to fire away some people, and I was afraid to be one of them. And yeah, no, I don't like my job, but I'm too scared. I'm scared to death to lose my job. And it could be connected with my brother, because when he came drunk from the bar in the payday, and he said he lost his job because of alcohol to my parents, then they had quarrels, and they screamed at him, and he was beaten by my dad.
He was what?
beaten.
When was this that this happened?
When I was about 12 or so.
Okay.
It started gradually when he was 18. And it happened off and on. But
When you were 12? And
when I was about 12, yes.
I don't know if you guys can hear the thunder that's going on in the background. Anything else going on in 2018?
My cousin died. She was 30, 35, I think.
What'd she die from?
She died from, oh man, I don't know how is it called. She had some inflammation in her stomach.
Okay. Like an ulcer?
I don't know what it was. I don't know the word in English, sorry, but
That's okay. That's okay, Thomas. You're doing really good. You're doing really good.
And one thing, my neighbor died. He was 50, and we were like not close friends, but I can say friends. And he got stroke.
How old was he?
50 years old.
50?
50.
Yeah. Stephen wanted to know if it was gastritis that your cousin died from, perhaps?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Kimberly says she hears the thunder, plus her upstairs psycho neighbor is loud. So we got all kinds of sounds going on in here. Okay, Thomas, tell me about you mentioned your grandmother's untimely deaths, but just tell me what you know about your father's parents and his upbringing.
So the parental grandmother, her dad, her father died when she was 2 years, I think, and her mother was like really strict. My grandmother broke her finger, and she didn't fix it because she was bad. So, and my grandfather, he was very, very humble man. I can say meek. And he was sort of lost child like me. And my father said that he was afraid to say he was injured on his head, on his arm, because they wouldn't, I don't know what to do.
Okay, and then tell me about your mother's parents and her childhood experience.
Parents, my maternal grandfather was a razor. His father died in the USA when he was 7. My grandfather was in Slovakia still, but his grandfather went to the USA. And I think his stepfather was alcoholic, but I don't know it for sure.
And on your mother's side, what do you know?
My grandmother, she was a tailor, and She was hospitalized in a psychiatric clinic. I don't know the reason for that.
I'm sorry, there was a really loud thunder burst. What did you say
She
again?
was hospitalized in a psychiatric clinic.
Your grandmother?
Yes, but I don't know why.
Yes, Gilligan, that was a decent thunder strike. That startled me. Annie says, "Yikes! That was a thunder boomer." Okay, Thomas, I think I'm ready to do your feedback. So, I don't know if I'll be able to answer all of your questions. I just tell you what I see. First of all, I want to share a story, and then I'll get to your feedback in a second. There's no audio, you're saying, somebody? Kimberly says no audio. Please tell me there's audio. Audio's fine, Steve. Okay, good. I remember when I went through narcissistic abuse, the thunderstorm reminded me of some of my trauma, Thomas. I remember, when you're broken, you're like a little kid. And I remember one night feeling especially like a little kid. Let me okay this. Sorry. And there was thunder like that all night long. And I remember just being terrified. You're a grown man, but you're not a grown man. I hope the power doesn't go out either, because it sounds like it's fixing to. So anyway, Thomas, that's sort of an example. The thunder triggered a little mini panic attack in me. And I think that, tell you what, let's do the disclaimer thing first, and then I'll go through.
I want to.
Okay, so repeat after me. This is not therapy.
I know this is not therapy.
This is just a demonstration about the power of family trees.
This is just a demonstration about the family trees.
And I'm courageously accepting the feedback.
I'm courageously accepting your feedback.
With no danger of legal maneuvers if you hear things you don't want to hear. Something like that.
I can repeat that.
Just say yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let me get something to drink and then we'll do this. Thomas, you guys, I know you're still there, but I'm just going to do this thing with Thomas. And that's part of the magic of a family tree is you can pick up on some things. And so I hope a little magic happens here between Thomas and I. You have one of the softest voices of anybody I've ever worked with, Thomas, in 34 years. And I know you were trying to be quiet, but I can see in your face the lost child. I can see you mentioned that your father's father was a lost child and that he was meek. And would you say that you have some of that meekness too?
Yes, I can say that.
Yeah, yeah. You come across as just hungry for insight and hungry for help. And it sounds like you had a lot of things to fear as you were growing up. I mean, there was your dad's rage that you saw acted out on your brother. Your dad didn't beat you, though. He just beat your brother at that one point when he lost his job.
Yes.
Yeah. And there was your mother's impatience, your mother's criticism, and one thing that really touched me. Let me catch up with. One thing that touched me when you talked about your dad was so emotionally unavailable. Dads are supposed to help us not be afraid. And while your dad wasn't a scary drunk, there were no hugs, there was no touch, there was no I'm proud of you. Every kid just thirsts and longs to hear, hey, I'm proud of you from their parents. And so that's a big wound, in your heart. And he would be hidden away in the garage. So it's like, uh, I can see why 2018, why you had so many panic attacks, because you've had a lifetime of not being protected. I think the scariest thing that I've heard you say is how your brother treated you. That's a big age difference, and just him locking you in your bed like a coffin would terrify any little boy. It's like you didn't have anybody to protect you. And I think the reason why you don't remember a lot of your childhood is I think you were terrorized by your brother. And so you had an absent father emotionally, and a mother who was critical to your brother, and then uh, you were locked in the bed in the dark and really afraid. And then your brother would come up to you in the dark when you were trying to sleep and rage at you and scare you. So you don't live in a safe world. It sounds like Slovakia, is a place that is emotionally dark. Whenever there's really high alcoholism, it's because there's problems. And now COVID has made the world a much scarier place. And I think your brother was so filled with rage from being the scapegoat, and the rage rolled downhill onto you. Steve calls it a disempowered childhood. It's like rather than you getting encouragement and power and praise and acceptance and hugs, um, uh, uh, you got scared and terrified. And so then 2018 happens, and this is something that happens with all of us is um, uh, Australia 25 says complex PTSD is very real because its triggers can make us vulnerable. And what happens is if we have a string of scary things happen, you're already living in a scary place, and then you had scary things happen to you. So your mother gets cancer, and what a horrible thing, cancer is. It's the word is terrifying. And then, you don't like your job. You're a lost child in your job, but it's the only job you got, and it provides for your family. And you said you were scared to death. So being scared to death, facing the imminent death of your mother, with her cancer, and then you associated losing your job to your brother being beaten, when he lost his job. So a lot of times it's like there's triggers and associations from experiences. So, and then your cousin died, and then your neighbor died. So 2018, it was a year of horrors. And I think you had a lifetime of fear, mainly coming from, your brother's rage that was directed at you. And so a lot of times panic attacks, they're not, obviously they're a problem, but they're really our body just trying to tell us something. And I think your body was just saying that you were scared. I think Thomas, the core of you is terrified. So you carry around a lot of terror inside you. And it's like getting hit. The first hit comes from cancer. The second hit comes from being terrified, scared to death that you're going to lose your job, and associating it with, your brother, being beaten. And then your cousin dies and your neighbor dies. And I don't view your panic attacks as being dysfunctional or out of the ordinary. They make all the sense in the world. On both sides, you mentioned early on, your mother's mother died when she was 2.5. And in your email, you said you couldn't find much. There's so much that you didn't see, that you lived through, and that is the abandonment from your dad. If your dad was warm and kind and present, he would have warmed up your whole life. And you wouldn't have gone through life being scared. I can see fear in your eyes, Thomas. You're a kind man, you're a sweet man, but you're a scared man. And then on the other side of the family, your granddad's father died when he was 7. And so whenever there's early deaths, it's like in the Bible, it talks about the sins of the fathers being visited upon the children and upon the children's children to the 3rd and 4th generation. By the way, this is what Thomas's family tree looks like, and on both sides. And the thing that really stuck out to me the most, Thomas, was you being terrorized by your brother. I think there were probably many incidents like being locked in your bed. And so there was alcoholism, mental illness, your grandfather's arm injury, being a lost child, having a stepdad who was alcoholic, a grandma who was so mean she wouldn't fix her broken finger, um, uh, uh, and in a country where there's limited opportunity, you know, it wasn't safe to lose your job because it would be hard to find another one, you know, equal that you would like or that would help your family. Gilligan says that you and she have a lot of things in common. I'm struck by how much your dad's dad sounds like you. That sometimes that a pattern will skip a generation, and he sounded, you know, he was a meek lost child, and you couldn't help but be meek. Another thing that stuck out, Thomas, for me is when I ask you things that give you joy or make you happy, there was a big, heavy sigh. And it just seems like you lack joy in your life. And one of the outlets that you had for at least self-care was swimming, and now you can't swim due to COVID. So, I mean, your family has been dominated by early deaths, alcoholism, a country that has dark issues, your dad's abandonment of the family, probably some emotional enmeshment with your mother. It seemed like, you know, she was sort of enmeshing with you. You know, she told you about, you know, the suicide attempt. She wanted to sort of stroke your cheek. So your issues make a lot of sense to me. Another thing that stuck out was you have a lot of shame, and by shame I mean oversensitivity to criticism. That you're not sure if your wife is extra critical or not, but she feels critical. You can get wounded in your spirit by critical words. So in terms of therapy, the biggest thing for you, Thomas, is to find courage, to face off with your fear. I would feed on videos about gaining courage. Another one of my videos, the thunderstorms are helping me remember. Once I was by a river in Michigan during a horrific thunderstorm, and I was sharing about being a warrior, a fighter, somebody who's not afraid. And every time I said something, the thunder would, you know, go off as if God were doing it in cue, you know, like I was throwing thunderbolts from the heavens, you know. Gilligan said she thought shame meant you actually have things you're ashamed of. No, that's a misconception, Jillian. It can be that. It can be that, but it's more often being sensitive to criticism. So you've been lost your whole life, and now your mission for the rest of your life is to be found, to find yourself, to locate something that gives you joy. Your job's not going to give you joy, but you need to find something in the world. There was a movie here years ago called City Slickers, and the main character was asking a wise man, "What's the meaning of life?" And the wise man, the cowboy Curly, said one thing. And he said, "Well, what is it?" And he goes, "Well, you have to figure that out for yourself. Everybody needs to figure out what gives them joy themselves." The cards are stacked against you in your job, in your country, with COVID, with your brother, with how you were abused by your brother. Good evening, Betty. But it's like you only get this one life, Thomas. And I see you like a flower that's like frozen. You know, it's not blooming. It's all you're all turned in on yourself. And my prayer for you, my hope for you, is that you'll be able to find some sunshine, that you'll be able to find something that gives you joy, that you'll be able to find something that makes you smile. I don't know what it is. Many times people use addictions because they lack joy. They don't know how to get happy and high just on life. So they find, some easily, connectable way of numbing out, whether it be alcohol, or in your case, pornography. It's good that you're battling the pornography. It sounds like it's been something that has you've really had to put a lot of effort and struggle into, as a lot of men do. You've read Patrick Carnes' book, Out of the Shadows?
No.
Okay, so that would be a piece of homework. I would he's the guy in the States who started writing a lot about sexual addiction. Patrick Carnes' Out of the Shadows would be a good book for you to read. How did you learn about being a lost child, Thomas?
It's from the ATA where I learned about it, and there's some characteristics for the dysfunctional roles in families, and lost child is the one that I match best.
Yeah. So, do any of you out there have any feedback for Thomas? I normally sort of include people in the feedback, but I just wanted to connect with my man here, just he and I, because I just, you can be so much stronger than you are. You just need to move toward courage. And as you take steps in the direction of courage, it's like you'll be exercising anxiety and fear from your body. The panic attacks and the anxiety are just a natural reaction to all the scary shit you've been through. You've been through a lot of scary, hurtful stuff. Okay. Gilligan says she's a lost child as well. Annie says, do you have depression, Thomas?
Yes, I can say it's not bad, but sometimes I'm depressed.
Yeah, that's how Annie said, a slight depression. Gilligan says, then you go out in the world where so many people use you and hurt you. It sounds like you've been fortunate in a selection of a spouse, because she might be a little critical, she may not be, but you said things aren't really bad at home. So you're blessed in that regard. When you grow up with an older brother that's so filled with rage, then it takes away your opportunity to have your healthy anger. Because there was no competition when he was so big, so much older and bigger than you. So I wasn't surprised when you told the story about the brawl when you were drunk yourself and rage came out of you. Good for you. Good for you.
I don't consider it like good thing.
Say that again.
I don't consider it like a good thing. I thought it's a bad thing.
I know, Thomas. I'm just saying, you need some fire in your belly. And it's like for once in your life, you were a brawler. To get through life, people, we have to be brawlers. We have to be fighters. We have to have courage, because everybody knows that's listening to this, that life is a place where you can get eaten alive. You can get eaten alive by your internal fears. You can get eaten alive at work. You can get eaten alive by the death of a family member, and you can get eaten alive by memories or lack of memories of, scary abuses. So when you ask about the 12-step work that you're doing, I would continue that, Thomas. It's helped you. It's available, but also just continue to watch really good YouTube videos. Again, about watch YouTube videos about lost children being found. Watch YouTube videos about scared children becoming fearsome. I want you to become a badass someday, Thomas. A fighter. Yeah. That's okay. Now you got me. Did you hear what I said?
There's some buffering. What did you say?
Yeah. I want you to become a badass, I said.
I promise I would be.
Annie says she wants you to kick some ass. A constructive fighter, Betty says. Sunny Days says, keep forging ahead. Read the books, practice self-care, and know that you're not alone. I was a lost child too, Thomas. It's a lonely, scary role in the family. It's not a powerful role. You feel invisible. And Sunny Day said, thank you for sharing your story and for your great courage. Gilligan says, when you don't have a good starting foundation in life from your parents and family, it's hard to find it for yourself. And I suppose you have to give yourself what your parents should have given you. And you can create it for yourself. But how, she says, how you do it, she doesn't have a clue. Somebody says maybe being a badass would be an overcorrection. And what I mean by that is I'm hoping for you a place of where you don't have to be afraid anymore. Yeah. What are some of your thoughts, Thomas, about the feedback?
I want to say thank you for your time and expertise. And I like you to be so soft when you say such harsh things to people. So Yes, one big thank you. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, you'll be able to watch this over and over again because it'll, be on our YouTube channel. And I've enjoyed the thunder tonight, just reminding me what fear was like. And I can see you in a place to where you'll be able to have more strength and more courage and not be afraid. And that'll be such a gift to you. Um, there's a stronger man that wants to come out of you, and that can impact then your children in a more positive way. Any more comments for Thomas before we wrap up? Thank you for doing this, Thomas. It's helpful to hear from people from other countries, what their experiences are in recovery. Gilligan says, becoming a badass is simply having strength and not letting life beat you down anymore. Mrs. D says, thank you both, and I see my son in you. So she was looking at you and sort of picking up on her son. So I've enjoyed meeting you, Thomas. You're a good man, and I wish you well in your fight, in your journey, in your recovery. And check in with me down the road and let me know how you're doing. Okay. Okay. God bless you, man. Thanks again. Take care. So that guy was a sweetheart. I'm sorry that I was all into the time with him. One, I can't hear out of my left ear, and he was very soft-spoken, but he was just a sweetheart. You should see this man's eyes, just tender and kind and vulnerable, and you can see the fear in his eyes. The older brother who terrorized him was 7 years older, so that's considerably older, and he didn't have anybody to protect him. And when we don't have people to protect us, and there are older siblings, I would say it's probably only in 5 to 10% of families that I interview, but they where the sister or where the sibling is the main terrorizer, and it was definitely the root of Thomas's panic attacks had to do primarily with how he was terrorized. He was locked in his bed like a coffin, and he was scared, and it was dark, and he was in there for a long time. That's horrific. Gilligan says, my middle sister who abused me was 5 years older, and she's the one who was shot. Thank you, Steve, about the good interview. That was a hard one. The main thing that I wanted to instill in Thomas was courage and sense of self. We have it so good here in the United States, the alcoholism isn't rapid, and we don't have to be afraid to death of losing a job. This is a country that has a lot of issues, but Thomas grew up impacted by not only family but also by country. Gilligan asked, well, where were his parents when all this was going on? How can a parent know about? I don't know. I don't know where. I know Dad was in the garage making guns and contraptions and drinking. So Dad was sort of out of the picture, and it sounds like Mom, had her own issues, and poor Thomas was left to be terrorized on his own. So we were going to meet in 2 weeks, but as it turns out, 2 weeks is election day night. So we're going to push it to 3. Annie, who has volunteered to be in the next show, said she'd rather not do it on election night. There's going to be enough distraction and insanity in our country that maybe we should take that night off and just sit by the TV and hope for the best. So Annie is up next. Anybody else who wants to have a genogram done, just let me know by emailing me at marksmith@familytreecounseling.com. marksmith@familytreecounseling.com, and we'll get you on a list. And we'll be glad to go through. And I don't know how long we're going to do these. I noticed that we get a lot more views when we focus on topics, but there's so much that you can learn by studying generations of family issues. And every time we do this, we deal with a different issue that's being passed down, from generation to generation. We've done like 5 of these, and every one of them has been on a different topic. Gilligan says, oh, Gilligan was the first one. Yeah, Gilligan did hers via typing, and it didn't really work very well because of the typing. That's right, Gilligan. I'm sorry, I forgot about that. So thanks for watching, everybody. We will see you in 3 weeks, not 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, hopefully, we're going to get a narcissist booted out of office, would be my hope. I don't know where the rest of you stand on that, but that's sort of my take on things. So I hope people get a chance to watch this. I know the information gathering is tedious, but I wish you could have seen Thomas's eyes when I was talking about courage, when I was talking about the frozen flower getting sunlight, when I was talking about finding joy. The guy was just lit up. He just lit up, and you could tell that he was hungering and thirsting for those things. Gilligan says, thanks for another great session. And yes, she says Trump is a huge narcissist. I assume that we need to get out of office. So I enjoyed this tonight. That was a sweet underdog, lost child, terrorized man. And I hope that he takes some courage and finds some badassery in life, because it's only through courage and strength that we can overcome the terrorism and the fear of our childhood. So thank you for watching. My voice is sore. My dog needs walked again. And God bless everybody. I'll see you in 3 weeks.